The World Health Organization is stating that this strain of the hantavirus is called the Andes strain, and it can spread person to person. You may have already heard that the World Health Organization boarded the ship today. There are 7 people who were infected. 3 of those people are already dead. One of the people had to be airlifted off of the ship to the hospital. Now, mind you, these people stopped. Yeah, they stopped. So that means that they've offboarded this ship, and it could have possibly been infected with someone else if they made contact with anyone when they made any of these stops. They are saying that they're going to keep these people on that boat for up to 8 weeks, because that is the gestational period. 8 weeks sitting on a boat in the ocean. And they can't leave their rooms. They must stay inside their cabin the entire time. So it's not like you're on the cruise ship just having a great time. You're stuck in your room. Now, this ship touched base in Argentina. And you know who's going to be coming to America for the World Cup in a matter of what? 3 weeks? 2 weeks? That's right, Argentina. Baby, here we go again with the bullshit. The World Health
Shalom, call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the sincere Akim, noising this gospel abroad, keeping the faith, diligence, and testimony of our Lord Yahushai, occupying the prophecies until our Lord come, and to the few Aqua to listen and learn as well. As always, to you I say Shalom. So we on the verge of another P-DEMIC coming about, and this is perfect timing due to the poly crisis that Esau, Edom, has set up throughout the earth. You know, we're on the verge of economic collapse, famine, mass death through disease, through war, mass confusion, you see? So these devils have orchestrated this time of chaos, to be very devastating to the inhabitants of the planet Earth. So it's like everywhere you look, there's something going on. There's no peace in the earth at all. And this is adding to people's declining mental health, just making people give up, just not really be in a spirit to really live anymore. You know what I'm saying? And people are already, they were already over the first P-DEMIC, you know what I'm saying? Because that pretty much stopped a lot of things, for the people of this world. But what they about to bring back, because we know that they about to bring back more lockdowns, but this time it's going to be even more draconian. And the answer to these outbreaks and disease is going to be, we need to bring about digital IDs for safety, because we need to know who is infected, before this thing can spread. So that's going to be grounds to bring about digital IDs. Of course, they're going to justify bringing about the chip. News coming out that now Sweden is now, implanting tens of thousands of people, to receive benefits over there, which they were pretty much the trailblazers for the RFID microchip technology, but now they're taking it a step forward in their society. They're pretty much going full digital, So the answer to all of these things that you're seeing is ultimately to get everybody chipped and on this grid, and ultimately to be tracked and traced. That's why these things are coming about. Because the motto of these devils is to never let a good crisis go to waste. So out there on this cruise ship, as you heard in that first clip, people are pretty much being quarantined. They're on cruise, supposed to be on vacation, but they're not allowed to leave their cabin, and the ship has to stay out there on the ocean for 8 weeks until they figure out what's going on and how they can contain it. But I got an article as well going into it deeper, that'll kind of, show you, okay, this really is all an agenda, But anyway, let's tap in this video right here from Snyder Reports, about this deadly virus, this hantavirus.
Is this the start of the next pandemic? That's what everyone keeps on asking because of the reports of the 3 people that have lost their lives due to the hantavirus. Watch this.
Nearly 150 passengers, including 17 Americans, are trapped on a cruise ship off the coast of West Africa. According to the World Health Organization, 7 possible cases of hantavirus have now been identified aboard the NV Hondius.
That is concerning, but I want to give you the facts. What should we be concerned with, or at least what should we be watching? But first, I want to play a video from one of the passengers from the ship. Watch this. This is what he recorded just yesterday.
I normally wouldn't make a video like this, but I feel like I need to say something, so I wrote a few things down. I am currently on board the MV Hondius, and what's happening right now is very real for all of us here. We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people. People with families, with lives, with people waiting for us at home. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's the hardest part. All we want right now is to feel safe, to have clarity, and to get home. So if you're seeing coverage about this, just remember that there are real people behind it.
Let that sink in for a second. Because I remember seeing a lot of those exact same types of videos from people early on during the pandemic, where some people were saying, it's just the flu, nothing to worry about. But then it turned into a worldwide pandemic. It hit the United States like a ton of bricks. People lost their lives. They lost their loved ones. People lost important years. Children stuck in their homes. School was canceled. Businesses shut down. You couldn't travel. You couldn't.
And the same things are coming back. Like I said, this is going to be CV19 2.0, but this time it's going to be even worse. All right, because you got to keep in mind the first time, that was the test run, and the elites, they came out and they said that, they told you, like, look, what had happened back in 2020, that was a test. All right, but the one that's coming is going to be even, much worse. And, they're going to have to implement very strict, harsh decrees, you see? So when these lockdowns come again, which they already setting it up, all right? We see that they already shutting down travel. Businesses are closing down at a record rate because of what's going on with this Iran war, all right, which is about to intensify once again. You see what I'm saying? So that, this is why now the talks of these diseases, all right, which I went into it yesterday, how Ice Age Farmer, brought it out, how even on these farms, right, with the cattle and things of that nature, how, they're pretty much warning that bird flu, all right? So now with these farmers, the authorities are not telling them that they gotta their cattle for bird flu, because bird flu is about to be the next big thing coming out amongst many other things, all right? So you got the bird flu, you got hantavirus, you got disease X, okay? You have very deadly diseases that are coming about, and it's all to take control.
Even go and see your friends and your family, right? Everything was shut. We were quarantined for a while. That's exactly what's happening here. Now, for context, I want to give you an idea of what this is like compared to COVID, okay? Currently, the mortality rate of the hantavirus is between 35 and 40% based off of the current strains that we know. Well, today, the mortality rate's less than 1%. It was obviously much higher during the beginning stages of it. The transmission. COVID is obviously, it's highly contagious from person to person through an airborne virus. But for the hantavirus, it's different. It's extremely difficult to spread from person to person based off of the strain that we currently know. That's the key here, the strain that we currently know. How it spreads? Well, obviously with COVID, coughing, sneezing, breathing, touching, right, close contact, that's how it spreads. With the hantavirus, it's different. It's usually with contact with like rodent urine, feces, dropping, saliva, contaminated like dust, things like that. That's the difference here, okay? Typically in the United States, we have about 20 to 50 cases per year. Obviously, there's millions of infections of COVID. So that's the difference.
And a lot more people that got the you know what, they're pretty much walking diseases, man. All right, because they got a thing known as shedding, where people that took that thing, they're due to the frequencies now that they putting out, people are starting to have this has been the thing for years, but it's now starting to become common knowledge that people that took that you know what, that they're shedding symptoms, and they can get people infected with what's inside of them, with that graphene, OXI, IDE. Okay, if I spelled that right, but if you get what I'm saying. All right, people are shedding, symptoms onto other people. You know what I mean? And that change your molecular structure, man. All right, so when they activate these frequencies and they bring these certain diseases about, everybody who took the venom, they're gonna be the main ones that's gonna be getting infected by these new strains that they bringing about. You see? So when you go here, okay, virus fears, rat virus cruise ship headed to Canary Islands as desperate search launched for people on flight with outbreak victim. Officials are desperately looking to contain the lethal outbreak to the luxury vessel, but are now being made to search for dozens of people who flew with an infected passenger just days before she died. All right, 3 people on the Dutch MV Hondius have died of the rare but severe hantavirus, which has sparked a global health scare. See? So just like the CV19, this is now a global health scare. So this tells you that these devils are about to bring this thing in. And I remember at the beginning of the year, we had brought it out how them devils at the WHO, how they were conducting live drills for this same very thing right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was conducting live drills, for preparedness for the outbreak of another P-DEMIC. That, I think that took place in January. Okay? And they put a whole lot of money into that. So these devils are not going to put millions, billions of dollars into these certain drills if they don't plan on something going down. So we already know what it is, man. So, the fact that this is now a global health scare, this does not surprise us, because we understand what's at play. Reading on, a British man, 69, is fighting for his life in a South African hospital, and 2 seriously ill crew members, including another UK national, are still stranded aboard the vessel awaiting evacuation. Check this out. The WHO has said that there are 7 suspected cases of the infection aboard the vessel, which has been traveling from Ushuaia in Argentina to Cape Verde in Africa. And you have the World Cup, that's supposed to be coming over here to different cities in America, all right, starting next month in a few weeks. You see what I'm saying? So these people coming from Argentina, all kind of people going to be traveling. So, this is going to be a big deal, and they could, just lock the world down for this World Cup. We'll see what happens, but that's also very possible. It says, although the virus is usually contracted by breathing in rodent urine, droppings, and saliva, the WHO warned that the disease may have spread between passengers aboard the luxury cruise. So we don't know exactly where this thing came from. For all we know, they could have released this thing on the vessel and people got infected and, some died. Who knows? But, really doesn't matter. The point is what's going to come of this, okay, which is going to be, once again, CV19 2.0. But this time, much more draconian, okay, because now they got the people right where they want them. You know what I'm saying? So, getting this article here as well from the BBC. Volunteers sought for B flu V trial. Okay, a university is looking for volunteers to try out a new V to protect humans against a potential bee flu pandemic. See? So this is already news coming out. This is brand new 21 hours ago. You know what I mean? So they already, wanting to inoculate people with this new bee flu V because of a potential bee flu pandemic. So again, they already letting you know that something is coming. Okay, and that's what these devils are getting ready for, man. The University of Nottingham is going to be helping to deliver the national trial, which is testing how effective the V is against the virus. The university said the disease currently does not spread easily from birds to humans, and it is even rarer for it to pass between people. You see, these devils been playing with stuff in the lab, and we know that Esau, especially with this bee flu and even the CV19, you know that he's been weaponizing these certain contagions to be transmissible to humans, because a disease that affects a bird cannot affect a human being, because the scriptures tell you that there's one flesh of beast and there's another flesh of man. Okay, so human and animals, we have different respiratory system, we have different immune systems and things like that. So for example, if your dog comes down sick with a cold, your dog cannot get you sick, you know what I'm saying? Because what can survive at the disease that can survive in the dog's body, the dog has different internal body temperature, he has different respiratory, has different just different tools, you know what I'm saying, to where those things affect especially dogs, you see. But if you take that certain disease and you put it in a lab and you perform gain of function, then you can make it transmissible to humans, which is what they've been doing. Okay, so whatever that they have coming with the bee flu and bringing about these new strains, these things have been manipulated, all right? And that's how they went about it with the CV19. Says here, it is not that likely in the near future, but it's really unpredictable as to when this might transfer into humans and become a real problem for human populations. And see, we know these devils, they have a Depop agenda to where they want to knock off billions of people off this earth. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to do that through war, disease, and famine. All right, the deadly trio. You see what I'm saying? So this is the perfect time for them to move forward with their agenda. And Revelation 12:12 says, that the devil shall come unto you with great wrath, for he knows that he has but a short time. So these devils know that the jig is up. They know they're being exposed. Everything is coming out about them. So they got to make a move. You know what I'm saying? So they about to make something happen sooner rather than later. All right, because time is of the essence. Check this out too. The V uses the same MR to the N to the A technology used in current CV jabs, with scientists saying this enables the V to be created quickly and at scale in the event of a pandemic. And see, these, you know what I'm saying, they already have these things ready to go. All right, and that whole V, that came from DARPA, okay, which you can look that up, man. You know what I'm saying, that whole V, that whole pandemic was created by DARPA, which is a military arm of the Babylonian government. You see what I'm saying? So this whole thing was all set up and planned, all right, to pretty much take more rights away, get people more, locked into these draconian decrees, and ultimately forward the agenda of the wicked elite. All right. Says the trial will involve about 3,000 adults in the UK and will examine whether the V is safe and can generate a strong immune response. If so, it could then be licensed for use if needed. And see, things are going to move very quickly. All right, because these are just talks right now, but things are going to move very quickly. You know what I'm saying? Once certain things start to go down. And we know we're in that time of judgment, man. So the Lord is about to, well, he is turning things up. All right. So when you get, let's get Luke 21. Right, because we're in a very distressful time upon the earth. Okay, Luke 21. And all these things signal the coming of Yahweh Shai. Luke 21:25, the return of Hamashiach. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. So right now, we're in that time where, people's hearts are failing them. All right, I seen an article that over 70% of young Americans, are saying that the economy is not suitable to forward life. Okay, so a lot of people, they're giving up. They can't make ends meet. And, this right here is going to be the straw that break the camel's back. Because this summer, people not going to be able to travel nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Travel going to be shut down because of many different factors. All right, so people's hearts, men's hearts are failing them for fear. They're perplexed. They're confused. Okay, and these people really have no idea what's coming next. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, if you're not in the truth, if you're not, if you have not been imparted the wisdom of Yahweh Shai Shai to be able to see through the time that we in, then you bugging out right now. You're bugging out because you really don't know what's to come next. You don't know what to expect. Let me get that. Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Right? So if you fear the Lord, and if you're doing what's pleasing to Yahweh Bashmel Shai, then the Lord is going to impart unto you wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Okay, which is going to give you a peace of mind here in these times with all that's going on. All right, which is what majority of these people do not have. Okay, these people do not have the comforter, man. And this is why you're seeing people bugging out, just all kind of wickedness going on because people are lost. You see what I'm saying? And let's get 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter. All right, because the scriptures already tell you what's going to happen, man. This is a time of great death. All right, 2nd Ezra 5 and verse 1. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, the prophecies, the signs, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. See? So the days are coming, all right, which we're in those days now, where many people are going to be taken in a great number. Okay, great death, all right? When you get 2nd Ezra 16. 2nd Ezra 16 and 17, it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague. All right, and diseases would fall under the plagues, man. Okay, you have a plague of darkness that's going to hit Babylon the Great once the power goes out. Of course, we see famine that's being prepared. People being without work, people being without hope. The beginning of great sorrows upon the earth. All right, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So, this is a time of judgment, man. Okay, and we know Yahweh Shai, pursuant to Matthew 24, told us that one thing that we would see in the last days is a pestilence or a disease. Okay, which you've been seeing a whole lot of that, especially since 2020. Even out there, what was that, like last month or the month before, where they had the rodeo out there in Texas. How many people came down with STDs and STIs and all type of shit, man, because of all the wickedness that's going on, man. That's judgment. Okay, so the Lord is hitting these people where it hurts. You know what I'm saying? And you have a lot of people that's about to go back to the spirit world real soon, man. So if you're in this ministry and this truth, man, you better count yourself very fortunate to know what's going on, and also to have the protection of Yahweh Bashmel Shai, because these people out here are completely through. You know what I'm saying? And things like this are going to put the nail in the coffin, you see? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this lesson's been edifying through the Rakakadash. Call hello, Yahweh Bashmel Shai, Basham Rakakadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Kum Yashala, wa blah, blah, blah.